Welcome to Building Better Relationships with Chuck and Barb Lewis, equipping listeners and viewers with the biblical tools to conquer the difficulties faced in this life. Chuck has practiced crisis intervention since the 1980s and has been in ministry together with his wife Barb for over 20 years. They've taken the countless lessons and the knowledge they've acquired and have put them into this life skills class to share with you. We hope this blesses you.
We are Chuck and Barbara, and we're just excited to talk to you about a topic that we've been talking about finances. And I'm going to let Barb share more here about finances because she's been an accountant for many, many years and has learned a lot about finances. We're still learning. And so Barb, continue to share what you've been teaching about finances.
Okay, well, I just want to go over some things today that will make your finances work better. And as Chuck and I have worked with married couples, we've seen that finances can just be a real source of arguments and misunderstandings and hurt feelings.
Very much so.
And so it's really important to be able to agree. Number one, I think it's important to honor God with your finances. Proverbs 3:9 says, honor the Lord with your wealth and with the first fruits of your income. And so God doesn't want us to give him what's left over. He wants us to give him the first part. And in Malachi 3:10, it said, and I like the Amplified Bible, it says, bring all the tithes, the whole tenth of your income, into the storehouse, that there may be food in my house, and prove me by it now, says the Lord of hosts, if I will not open the windows of heaven for you and pour out a blessing, that there shall not be enough room to receive it. And this is really the only place where God tells us to prove him by it. We're to put him to the test. And so God is saying, if you will put me first and you'll honor me with your income, I will bless you and I will multiply it. And, you know, I like the theory of sowing and reaping that it teaches in the Bible. And in 2 Corinthians 9:6, it says, whoever sows sparingly will reap sparingly. Whoever sows generously will reap generously. And there's another place where it says, whoever refreshes others will himself be refreshed. I think that's in Proverbs. But verse 8 of 2 Corinthians 9, it says, and God is able to make all grace come to you in abundance, so that you may always and under all circumstances and whatever the need, be self-sufficient. And in the Amplified, it explains what that means. And it says, possessing enough to require no aid or support, and furnished in abundance for every good work and charitable donation. So that means not only are you able to take care of your own needs, but you can give and help others meet their needs. So the law of sowing and reaping works for anybody, whether you're a Christian or not. But you do have to sow something in order to reap a harvest. So the laws of sowing and reaping is that you reap the same thing that you sow. And so if you plant corn, you're not going to have a harvest of wheat. You plant corn, you get corn. You plant money, you get money. You plant kindness and respect, you get kindness and respect. So it's giving what you need. And it's not giving after you get, it's giving it before, so that God has something to multiply. So you reap the same thing that you sow. You reap later than you sow. You've got to sow, let it grow, and then the harvest comes. And then you reap more than you sow. You know, Chuck, I remember you and I sitting on our back patio one day, and I looked down at a flower that was growing, and we had 4 o'clocks growing around our patio. And I looked, and on one stem, I saw it just had formed this little bush. And I counted 148 flowers that grew from that one seed that had made that stem and all those other flowers had grown from that. And with 4 o'clocks, once the flower falls off, there's a seed there. The seed falls into the ground and more flowers grow the next year. So isn't it incredible that 148 flowers
Yes.
were planted from that one? So that is such an awesome example of how things grow when we plant.
Yeah, that's God's multiplication of everything.
It is. I love that.
Yeah.
You know, Chuck and I have found that debt can be such a hard thing to have. It can cause worry and anxiety and pressure. And you know what? This probably dates me, but I remember doing tax returns when all your credit card interest was deductible, and I would have people come in with 10 and 20 credit cards that they had and interest listed on every one of those. And oh my goodness, that would be so oppressive. I mean, I think I would feel hopeless if I had, that much debt.
Yeah, maxed out.
Oh boy. And Chuck and I have always tried to live without debt as much as possible. And with a house, that's not really possible. But I think it's important to limit your debt to things that are that will appreciate or are just really necessities, which means you don't charge a vacation. I have experienced that, charging a vacation or using my monthly money on a vacation and then coming home and not having the money to pay the bills the next month, and then it taking years to get caught up again. So debt is terrible. So I want to just give you a few suggestions of how you can get out of debt. One would be to pay down your smallest debt as fast as possible. Let's say you've got a payment on one that's $30 and a payment on another one that's $75 or $150. Take the smallest debt, the $30, and try to make extra payments on that and get that paid off. And then when you get that paid off, take that $30 or whatever you were paying on that debt and put it toward the next debt. And you'll be surprised at how fast you'll be able to pay that down, because those extra payments are all going to go on principal.
So the lower ones you try to knock off first,
Right.
and then you get to the higher ones.
Right. And that's just so that you feel like you're accomplishing something.
Ah,
Because some people think pay off the one that has the highest interest rate first, and that's definitely the option. But I think when you pay off the smallest payments first, you start feeling like you're accomplishing something.
right.
And that's a good feeling.
And if you pay off the smaller ones, that money can apply toward the bigger ones anyway.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
That's good.
So another option would be paying more than the minimum month's payment. If you have one that you just pay on once a month, you could pay on it twice a month. Here's something you can do with your house for your mortgage. You could refinance only if you can get a lower interest rate. But also, instead of doing a 30-year loan, do a 15-year loan. So I just ran the numbers on that, and that actually cuts your interest in half.
Wow.
To pay your house off in 15 years instead of 30 years.
Mm.
So that is very significant savings. And one thing important I want to mention is a very common thing is that people do a home equity loan to consolidate all their debts and pay them off. But one thing I don't like about that, especially if you're paying off credit cards and things like that, is that now you're paying on that credit card for 30 years. So you refinanced it to include it in your mortgage, and now you're paying all those for 30 years. So that, that is very difficult. And what I've seen people do too often too, is they run up the debt again. And so they consolidated and they have a little higher house payment, and then they do it again. I've seen people do that 3 and 4 times. Pretty soon, when you're retired, instead of having a house that's paid off, you still have this big mortgage. And Chuck and I feel like it's really a good idea to work toward being debt-free when you retire,
Yes.
because you're probably going to be living on less income.
Oh, yes.
So I think it's a good goal to have your house paid off by the time you retire.
So if you're thinking, okay, I'll just refinance to pay off all my bills, that's not a good idea, because you're just extending the house payment over and over and over. And now you get in your 60s and 70s, and you've still got all these refinance charges on your house.
Yeah.
And some people never pay it off, do they?
No. And they're still, as long as they live, they're going to be making a house payment. So it's something to think about. I mean, some people think it's a good idea to do a home equity loan for debt consolidation, but really the purpose of a home equity loan is to build or improve your main home. It's, a lot of people use it for debt consolidation, but I just wanted to tell you what I've seen happen to a lot of people. If you're a person, another option here of getting out of debt that has a lot of unsecured debt, I think, and you feel like you just can't, you're never going to get out from underneath it, it feels hopeless, you might call a debt consolidation company. I know there's one called Consumer Credit Counseling. There are also Christian companies that do debt consolidation. They'll counsel you, they'll go over your budget with you. And I believe what they do is they consolidate your debts into one payment. You make that payment to them. They negotiate with all your creditors to either write off interest or accept a lesser amount. And then they get you out of debt faster. And again, you've got to not run it all up again. It's doing without for that period of time. So that can help people. But anyway, quit using those credit cards. If you use credit cards, pay them off every month. We do use credit cards to buy things so that we can get air miles and free hotel rooms, but we always pay our credit card off every month. And so you've got to be disciplined, because it's really easy to charge more than what you can pay off at the end of the month. It's just harder to keep track of than when you're writing a check out of your checkbook and you keep bringing the balance forward and you see, okay, I only have X amount of dollars left, I can't write another check. But when you're using credit cards, it's a lot easier to let that get away from you.
So if you pay it off at the end of every month, and that's the key,
yes,
is to be able to pay it off so you're not paying these incredible interest charges on a credit card.
Yes.
It can benefit you by getting air miles. And I think the last time we went to Hawaii, our card paid for the whole trip. So
it did.
I mean, if everybody did what we did, they probably wouldn't offer that perk anymore. But it has really been beneficial to do it that way. And if you can't do it that way, you need to have plastic surgery on your credit cards. Cut those things up.
Yes.
Because that will keep you in bondage if you can't pay it off at the end of every month.
Yes.
Consider that.
That's right. So the last option I wanted to offer is to get another job to just pay off your debt. And I personally have worked 2 jobs before, and I know it's very hard, but something that you can do is I think I made earrings at home for a company, and I think I made $100 a month doing that. Realized that was a long time ago. $100 went a long ways toward making my budget feel more comfortable. And Chuck, you actually mowed lawns, didn't you?
I did. I had a daughter in Christian school that I couldn't really afford to put her in there, but I knew she really needed to have that training and that background. So I started mowing lawns. I started connecting with real estate companies and telling them, look, I will make sure that the yard is mowed, and I will water your grass all the time the property is sitting for sale, and I'll pick up all the trash around the house. And it didn't take very long to do that. Each house maybe took me 20 minutes to do the work. And I started getting so many houses that I started literally making $4,000 a month just mowing lawns. I didn't even have a truck. I had a regular car that I folded the handle up on my lawnmower and put my lawnmower in the trunk of my car. And I was literally making $4,000 a month. And I was so surprised that the kind of money was coming in. But God was blessing that. And so I just did that while my daughter was in school. But by the end of the school year of her graduating, I had a company call me up that took over a lot of repossession of homes, and they offered me 600 properties to take over. I could have turned that into a business right there, but I was called into the ministry, and that was my primary job. And so I turned that down, and I thanked them for it. But they really wanted me to do it because they said, we heard that you are faithful in showing up and doing the work, and you do a good job. Mm-hmm. And that's the key. I've had people come to me and say, man, I can't find a job. I've looked everywhere. And I say to them, do you have a lawnmower? And I give them that story because really, I mean, that was a pretty good amount of money. And if I would have taken on all those other properties, I could have really had an incredible income coming in. But again, God called me to the ministry, not doing lawn care, and nothing wrong with lawn care. If I wasn't in a ministry, I probably would be doing something like that today, because I love to mow lawns. I love to mow my lawn, and if the neighbors walk by and say our lawn looks like a golf course, and I love that. I enjoy keeping it looking good.
That's Chuck's happy place.
Yes. I've got even a T-shirt that has a card on it that says the lawn man or something on it. But anyway, I really enjoy doing that kind of thing. Hard work really has a lot of benefits. And I was taught from an early age about having a good work ethic. And having a good work ethic means getting up early and putting in a full day's work, not laying on the couch watching TV and watching all these movies all day long and wondering why God will not meet your need. He even said, if a man doesn't work, let him starve. I mean, that's as strong as the Bible gets about that. So God will not bless what he has cursed, and he will not curse what he has blessed. And he wants you blessed, and he wants your finances blessed, and he wants your debts canceled so that you can be a blessing to other people. And that's what I love about the Lord, is he is such a giver, and he loves to bless his people. You know how it feels to give gifts to our kids.
Yeah, we love to do that.
And it's just a wonderful feeling to bless your kids. Well, that's the way God feels. And I used to think that God didn't care about that stuff. He didn't care about my finances, but he does. He does care about your finances. And he wants to bless you hilariously. Literally, he wants to bless you hilariously.
Yeah.
So you've learned a lot about finances, and the people listening, we hope that you have gained some tips today. We're not telling you everything you need to do, because that's not what this program is for. It's to give you healthy habits that's going to make your life better,
less stressful.
We don't claim to have all the answers.
No,
we don't even know all the questions. But God does, and God knows how to get you out of the debt that you're in. If you're in debt, you're feeling hopeless and you're feeling trapped, there is freedom. And we're going to pray for you that God will deliver you from the bondage of debt. And we know he can do it.
Amen.
God bless you today. It's been good to be with you, and we'll look forward to seeing you next time.
If you are blessed by this ministry, please subscribe, like, and share. You can also make donations at chucklewisministries.com. Join us to keep uncovering the tools to build better relationships together. Let's do this again next week.